Alright guys, so I wanted to talk to you about price ceilings and price floors and how to tell whether or not they're binding. So here we have a y-axis, which is our price axis, and an x-axis, which is, as usual, our quantity axis. The yellow horizontal line is the line that's going to represent either a price ceiling or price floor. So I have a couple of easy rules for you to remember about whether or not they would be binding. So if we have a price ceiling, just think of it this way. So we usually are under ceilings. So if we have an equilibrium that is standing below a ceiling, then that price ceiling is not binding. The prices down below underneath the ceiling are just fine. They're not affected by the ceiling at all. They're being totally normal. However, if you have a price above the ceiling, then that price would not be allowed, and you're going to have to figure out what the new quantity demanded and quantity supplied are going to be. So here's a simple way of thinking about a price floor. You can stand over a floor. Prices over a floor are just fine. They're not affected by the floor. Prices that stand under a floor, however, are not allowed. Alright, so since we're here, we've got the text about the floor, let's just bring back our supply and demand curves and think about them for a second. So I left the text up there so you can remember the rule. Alright, so in this case, what we're looking at, do you think that this equilibrium, or supply and demand meet, do you think that would be allowed? Well, the text obviously says no, that this price is below the floor, so that would not be allowed. It would be a binding floor. And so what we would have to do is we'd have to look right here where the demand curve intersects with the yellow price floor line. That's the quantity demanded by consumers. And where this purple line intersects with the price floor line over here, that would be the quantity demanded by the quantity supplied by firms. Firms would supply much more than what we have consumers demanding, so there would be a surplus of the good. If, however, let me just move things around a little bit here. If, however, the supply curve actually was over here like this, then we would not have a binding floor at all. The natural market equilibrium would not be affected by the imposition of a price floor at all. So you wouldn't have to worry about it. So again, non-binding price floor, because we can stand above the floor, and that is binding. Alright, so let's get rid of the floor text. Let's think about this. What if this was a ceiling, in this case right here? Well, anything below a ceiling, prices below a ceiling is normal, that is fine. So in this case, we would actually have what we would expect to be a non-binding price ceiling, right? It wouldn't affect things at all. If, however, we were considering a demand curve that was instead over like this, well, now we have the intersection of supply and demand that are actually above the yellow line, so they are above the ceiling. Well, being above the ceiling doesn't make a lot of sense for either people or for prices. So if this is what we were really dealing with right here, then we would have to look at this intersection right here would be the amount that people would want to buy of this good or service. Here, let's get rid of this thing right here. This is kind of driving me nuts. Let's select another tool right down here. Let's see, is that going to help me out here? Let's see. Yeah, I like that one better. And this intersection right here of the supply curve with the yellow line, that's going to be the quantity that firms are actually going to supply. So firms are, if supply and demand were configured like this, firms are going to supply this amount right here, which is pretty low compared to the demand over here that people want, so there's going to be a shortage. Alright, so I hope this helps you. Just try to remember these rules. I'm going to get rid of these supply and demand curves right here. If you have a ceiling, anything below a ceiling is allowed and not binding. That's what binding means. It's not affected at all. If, however, you have a floor. Anything above a floor is normal and fine and not affected by the floor at all. Anything that is below the floor, you never stand below the floor, so those prices would not be allowed. Alright, I hope these simple rules are helpful to you guys, and I will see you in class.